don't ever correct me. Old dirty looking woman, don't ever correct me. Leave my path before I push you to the ground.
The old woman looked at Ya and murmured a curse, watching her as she walked away with pride and arrogance. The villagers watched in disbelief as she slapped an old woman for no reasons. Ya lived with her poor mother and father near the village shrine. Ya was so rude and arrogant. And not just arrogant, she had a face that looks like someone who had attempted a face surgery and didn't finish it. The villagers never liked her because of her behavior. They said the spirit punished her for her parents' crime. Whenever she passed through the village square, the women would say, "Who will marry this one?" turning their faces in disgust. The men were not nice either. They would say, "I pity the man who will marry this arrogant and ugly thing." Some would even say, if they dash her for free with a plot of land, they will still not marry her. Ya carried herself like she was the queen of the village. She was never bothered by what the villagers said. She saw herself as the pride of the village. Even when the maidens gossip about her, saying, "We will all marry the good men. Only the drunkards and mad people will ask for your hand in marriage," Ya would simply say, "Marriage is not in my dictionary. Who marriage helps?" She just told herself with confidence. Though the villagers whispered behind her, their words never sank into Ya's heart. Every dawn, she strutted across the dusty paths as though the sun rose just to illuminate her presence. Her mother would call after her, begging her to soften her tone, to humble herself, to mend her ways, but Ya only waved her hand dismissively. That morning, after slapping the old woman without a hint of remorse, she lifted her chin and kept walking. Children scurried out of her way, clutching their mother's cloths. The market women paused mid-sale, watching her with a mixture of fear and irritation. Even the goats stopped chewing, as though sensing the tension that followed her like a shadow. Near the shrine path, her father sat carving a piece of wood. He looked up as Ya approached, her steps loud, her pride louder. "Ya," he said quietly, "you walked through the village today like the gods owe you tribute." "And they do," she replied, brushing dust from her wrapper. "Look at me. I am not like these villagers who have accepted mediocrity." Her father sighed deeply, the kind of sigh that carried both exhaustion and resignation. "One day, Ya, the world will show you that beauty of heart weighs more than beauty of face." She scoffed. "Father, spare me the wisdom. If the world does not value me, then the world is blind." Later that day, the gossip grew louder. At the well, the maidens gathered in a tight circle, their voices hushed but excited. Ya approached, bucket in hand, her presence slicing through their chatter. "Ah, so you still stand there talking about me?" Ya said, staring them down. "Is my life feeding any of you?" One of the maidens, Abena, stepped forward. "We only say what everyone sees. You behave as though you are above all of us." "And I am," Ya answered without blinking. The maidens exchanged glances, some fearful, some amused, others annoyed, but none dared speak again. Ya dipped her bucket into the well with sharp, angry movements, sending ripples across the water. As she lifted the bucket, she caught her reflection. The unevenness of her features, the roughness of her skin, the sharpness of her jaw, it was all there. The villagers often whispered that the gods had carved her face in anger, leaving the work unfinished. But Ya refused to see flaws. Instead, she saw uniqueness, something that set her apart. When she returned home, her mother was peeling cassava. "Ya," her mother began softly, "they say you slapped old Maame Koko today." "And so," Ya replied, "she blocked my path. She is old enough to be your grandmother. Then she should know better than to stand in my way." Her mother dropped the knife, frustration finally breaking through her gentle nature. Why must you always fight the whole world? Can you not live peacefully with people? Ya shrugged. Let them learn to accept me. I will not bend for anyone. Even evening brought no calm. As the village prepared for nightfall, whispers continued to flow through the air like drifting smoke. Men sitting under the baobab tree joked loudly. Her mouth is sharper than the hunter's blade, one laughed. And her heart colder than river stones, another added. The third man shook his head. Imagine waking up beside that face every morning. The gods forbid. Their laughter echoed through the square. But Ya, passing nearby, pretended not to hear. She walked with her head high, hips swaying with confidence that bordered on defiance. Inside her chest, however, a small tightness formed a feeling she refused to name. Still, she kept walking, dust rising behind her like a small storm. The shrine drums began to beat in the distance as dusk settled. The smell of burning herbs drifted into the air, mixing with the scent of cooking fires. The village slowly grew quieter, but Ya's name still floated on the tongues of many. Some spoke with irritation, some with fear, some with curiosity, but they all spoke. And Ya, returning home with the last light of day, whispered to herself again, I am the pride of this village. One day they will see it. She repeated it like a chant, letting the words wrap around her like armor as the shadows lengthened and the night crept in. That night, as Ya slept, the moon hid behind a thick veil of clouds. The wind whispered through the trees behind their small compound, carrying with it the faint echo of the words the old woman had murmured after Ya slapped her. No one in the village had heard what she said, but the spirits had. Just before dawn, Ya began to toss on her raffia mat. Her breath grew heavy, and a strange heat washed over her body. She turned, groaned, and felt her skin tighten and prickle as though unseen hands were shaping her in the darkness. When the first rooster crowed, Ya jolted awake. Her mother, already by the hearth, heard a scream sharp and trembling. She rushed into Ya's room. Hey, Ya, what is it? What is? But the words died in her throat. Where Ya sat, clutching her face with trembling hands, her skin had changed. Dark patches crept across her cheeks, swelling into rough bumps. Her lips had twisted, one side drooping unnaturally. Her eyes, once sharp with arrogance, were now mismatched, one swollen shut. Mother! Ya cried, her voice hoarse. What is happening to me? Her mother staggered back, covering her mouth. Yeah, the gods have touched your face. By the time the sun rose fully, the news had traveled through the entire village like wildfire. Ya's face had transformed overnight. People gathered outside her compound, whispering loudly, pointing, craning their necks for a glimpse. Some laughed openly. Ah, she thought she was queen. Look at her now. She deserves it. Pride goes before destruction. The spirits have finally humbled her. Others, especially the older women, shook their heads with pity. Hey, my child, this is not ordinary. Something strong has touched her. May the gods soften the hearts of whoever cursed her. But Ya heard every voice, every laugh, every whisper. It felt like the whole village was squeezing her heart in their fists. When her father returned from the shrine path and saw her, he froze like stone. We must go to the herbalist, he said shakily. This is beyond human understanding. The herbalist's hut was filled with the scent of herbs and smoke. The walls lined with jars containing leaves, powders, and strange roots. As soon as Ya stepped in, the old man looked up, eyes narrowing as though he had been expecting her. Ah, he said slowly. So it has begun. Ya's mother dropped to her knees. Please, wise one, heal our daughter. The herbalist shook his head. This sickness is not one leaf, one medicine, or one man can cure. Her father swallowed hard. Then what can cure her? The herbalist picked up his cowries, shook them in both hands, and spilled them onto a goatskin mat. He stared at their pattern for a long moment before speaking. "It is the old woman she slapped," he said. She laid a curse on Ya. Ya's eyes widened. "That dirty-looking old woman, me? Beg her? Never!" Her father turned sharply. "Ya, this is not the time for such talk." But Ya shook her head stubbornly, her swollen face tightening with anger. "I will not kneel before that woman. Let these villagers laugh. I will not beg her. She is beneath me." Her mother grabbed her hands, tears streaming. "My daughter, your face, your body is changing. This is no ordinary sickness. Please, swallow your pride. Beg her before it becomes worse." But Ya pulled her hands away. "No, I said no." The herbalist sighed deeply, looking at her with a mixture of sorrow and warning. "Then may your heart be strong, child, because this curse does not stop here." Her parents looked at each other in terror. Already, the patches on Ya's face were spreading. Her breathing grew heavier, and a strange ache crawled into her bones. Even standing became difficult. Her sickness was getting worse. And the entire village watched, waiting to see what would become of the girl who refused to bend. Ya's sickness worsened with each passing day. The swelling spread down her neck, her skin tightened painfully, and sharp aches shot through her joints whenever she moved. Sleep became a battle. Eating became a struggle. Even breathing felt like a punishment. For the first time in her life, Ya, proud, fearless, Ya felt fear settle inside her like a heavy stone. The laughter in the village softened over time, replaced by murmurs of pity. Yet Ya still refused to seek the old woman. She clung to her pride like a shield, even as her body weakened. But pride crumbles quickly under the weight of suffering. One night, the pain became unbearable. Ya lay curled on her mat, tears streaming silently as her mother wiped her face with trembling hands. "Ya," her mother whispered, voice breaking, "you will die if you do not humble yourself." Her father sat beside her, his head bowed. "My daughter, we cannot lose you. Please, beg her. Even stones soften when the hammer strikes enough." Ya looked at their faces tired, frightened, full of love, and something inside her cracked. At dawn, before the sun rose fully, Ya wrapped a cloth around her head, covered her disfigured face, and left the house. She did not tell her parents. She did not tell the villagers. She simply walked. She walked past the shrine path, across farmlands, through dusty roads, and into the forest paths where the old woman was rumored to live. Her legs trembled. Her breath came in painful gasps. But she kept walking. 1 mile, 2 miles, then 3. By mid-afternoon, she saw a small hut made of mud and palm fronds, smoke rising from its roof. The old woman was sitting outside, grinding herbs with slow, steady movement. Ya's heart pounded. Her knees shook. The words tasted bitter in her mouth, but she forced her legs to move. She stepped forward and fell to her knees. "Mother," she whispered, "forgive me. Forgive me for my pride. Forgive me for disrespecting you." The old woman did not look surprised. She gazed at Ya with calm, knowing eyes. "I knew you would come," she said. "Pain teaches where words fail." Ya bowed her head, tears dripping down her swollen cheeks. "I am sorry. I was wrong." The old woman reached out and lifted Ya's chin gently. "Go home," she said, "and change your ways. Respect those older than you. Treat people kindly. Let humility dwell in you. When your heart changes, your body will follow." She did not give her herbs. She did not chant incantations. She simply turned away and entered her hut. And strangely, Ya felt something loosen within her, like invisible chains falling away. She returned home, exhausted but hopeful. Her parents rushed to her, embracing her with relief when she whispered, "I begged her." From that day onward, Ya began to change. She greeted elders with respect. She helped her mother fetch water. She apologized to people she had wronged. She no longer walked with her chin high and her heart filled with arrogance. And slowly, very slowly, the swelling faded. The patches on her skin softened. Her breathing eased. Her face regained its shape. Not perfect, but peaceful. The villagers watched in amazement as the once arrogant Ya transformed into a humble, respectful young woman. Little by little, their whispers changed from mockery to admiration. Even the old woman passed through the village one evening, and when Ya greeted her with a deep bow, the woman smiled. "You have learned." And Ya smiled too, genuine, gentle, healed from the inside out. Life lesson. Pride blinds the heart and invites destruction, but humility opens the path to healing, forgiveness, and true strength.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Folktale by T Vibes.